should have came. Really? Yeah. Oh, yeah. And we can always get extra. All right. Okay. Glad to be back home. You know, we have a big week at home with Baylor and Iowa State. Two really good teams, and I'm just happy with how we responded after the Utah loss. The Utah loss was really tough. I thought that was our worst game by far of the season and worst game that we've played here in a long time. And just to see a young team respond, like travel across the country and figure out a way to get it together with limited time, I thought that was pretty good. And so how will we respond now coming back home?
So I asked you a little bit about this after UCF, but now that you've done it a couple times, this one away, one home kind of thing that's new to you guys this year, what is that like, and how's it different for you as far as preparation?
Yeah.
How's it different for the players?
Well, and it's funny because it doesn't feel different yet. I think because it's not like a traditional week yet. Because we had BYU away, and then it was Christmas, so it felt like a non-conference away game. And then this one-off feels like we went far for a non-conference game. I think it's going to feel different when we play like this week's going to feel to me like the real Big 12. I don't know how to explain that, but at home it is different because I think that in the past, first of all, we were so much more familiar because we had been around obviously the Pac-12 so long. It's different. I think it's a short turnaround when you played that Friday, Sunday. So I think long term it's going to be better as far as preparation. To me, I think it's easier, and I think that's why the Pac-12 had so much success in the tournament because we were used to one game in between and we were used to quick turnarounds. That's my opinion. But for rest time and travel, I think it has to be this way because it's not the partner schools, but it's going to feel like the Pac-12 going to Kansas next week because that's kind of what we're used to, but with more time in between. We're gone like 5 days. But I think this week it's different. Playing Baylor, then Iowa State, that's different because I would be, Iowa State, that's what you would think because the partners, but I think it's fun. I think it's good that we get to come right back, but it is very different. It's different because it's so much more spread out, and it just feels different, like a different schedule.
Do you think it's better for the fans for you guys to be home most times, at least once a week?
Yeah, I do. I think that's good. I think it's like traditionally we're not on the road for so many days. So I think that's good for the players. It was hard sometimes being 4 or 5 days because we played Friday, Monday. Like if we played Cal Stanford last year, we were gone from like Thursday until Monday night. And sometimes the TV game would be Monday night, so that was a long time, which Kansas is going to be similar. But I think it's good for the fans. We're here more. We don't go through these like 2-3 weeks breaks without games. So probably, and I think for the fans, it's also good because they get to see different teams. We played Baylor on the road. We've never played Baylor here. I mean, not in my tenure. And they get to see different teams and different style of basketball. It's completely different. So.
About Baylor when you look at them?
So Baylor's really athletic. They run a lot of different things. They have some great guards, and we know Nettie from inside is a great player. So I think they're good, and I think the style is different to me than a typical Big 12 team. So more athletic, but we're used to that, and that's kind of the style we play. So I think it's gonna be a good game.
Is the starting lineup that you had against UCF something that you might continue, starting those freshmen going forward?
I'm not sure. I think that it's up in the air right now, and it's going to go on performance of the week and the preparation and who's healthy, who's not. I think that after that Utah loss, we had to make a change because that was not the way we want to start games, and that's not the kind of values and the way we want to play. So I thought that shakeup was good, and I thought some people really responded to it in a positive way. So that was a good thing, but I don't know. And that's the good thing about having these couple of days in between because we can prep and look at stuff. And we had a good day yesterday and hopefully another good day today.
Can you talk about Lauren a little bit and how you just keep her hot streak going as such a young player?
Yeah, so I think that with a freshman, you always want consistency. She was hot early in the season, then she went ice cold for a while. And it was funny because I didn't even realize she had made a three in a couple games. She told me, she's like, Coach, I haven't made a three in like 5 games. I'm like, really? Because I thought it was just a couple, and that's not what I pay attention to because I watch her every day. And I said, who cares? I said, you'll make them the next game. And then she was hot the next game. So I think that just getting her in the right mindset that when she goes to this next game, she doesn't hit her first couple of shots, like don't give up and hang her head. And we know she's a great shooter. She does it every day in practice. And I thought she really stepped up mentally and was prepared and was intentional about the way she played against UCF. So I think just keeping her in the mindset to continue that, and this is what she does. We're not asking for anything different. And the areas I challenged her was defensively, and she's been good. And she's been doing some other things that we kind of set goals with off the court. And so she's doing all things, but as a freshman, I expect peaks and valleys. But I think that for her, the mentality, she's playing well. She's confident. She just got Player of the Week, which is, players don't pay attention to a lot, but they do. And it's her second one, so she has a chance to do some special things. So keeping her in that mindset, we're doing a lot of skill and different stuff like that. Because we need her to be good. We need her to shoot the ball. She's one of our best shooters.
What's the dynamics like between, when you have two freshmen like Lauren and Maybelline and they're playing really well, and then you have your veterans player? What's that dynamic been like?
I think it is what it is. I think I don't put a lot of thought into it because I think that you have to perform. Just like as a coach, like we're supposed to win games. And I think that but without sacrificing other things, if there's a certain style you're supposed to play, you're supposed to play it. If there is a certain assignment, it is your responsibility, if you're a starter, to be trusted, because you're in that spot because you're trusted, and you have to follow the assignment. So I think that discipline and all those things, I think sometimes when you shake things up, people pay attention to what they're supposed to do. And I think there's sometimes with young teams, you have you have a tendency to be very relaxed and comfortable, and I think that's not what you want. And I've seen when you have really deep teams that are experienced, there is no room for people to get comfortable. And so when you have that kind of threat every day, you raise your level of play. Just like in the pros, you are competing every single possession because it's for your livelihood. And I think that in college with young teams, they tend to not do that. So when you shake things up, I think it motivates people. Unfortunately, Sky had one of her best games. The last couple times that's happened, she's had some of her best games. So it's my job to teach her that that's not what it takes to do that. You can do that every day, but how do you do that? Because they're kids. Like, how do I do that? I don't know. It's not just because I'm angry, I want to prove something, so how do I do that consistently every game? And so that's my job to try to figure that out. But you have to find different ways to motivate people. And I think playing the freshmen, they did a great job. I thought that with them, they're young, but I don't care about that. I started the freshmen all year last year. So getting them to play together, I didn't have to do that. It was effortless. They were playing together, sharing the ball. No one was so honed in on just scoring. They were just playing, and it looked good. And we had one of our best halves. We had some of our best assists. So it shouldn't take the freshmen coming in doing that because our vets can do that. But if they do that and they get the job done, it is what it is. Because starting to me doesn't matter. It's how you finish the game. But to players, it matters. And that's the reality.
When you look at Big 12 play, in the Pac-12, you knew the teams. You knew it was easy to scout. You knew the coaches' tendencies, different players' tendencies, because you had played them against them a lot. What's it like now in the Big 12, not knowing anything when you walk in the door?
It's a lot more scouting preparation in the offseason. It's a lot more preparation. And next year it's easier because we already have some familiarity. But even stuff like not knowing what the gym's like, not knowing how the travel feels, that's also the preparation too. Not knowing, do we need to go a little earlier and have a day and a half? Those kind of things, I think it's all what you learn your first year. And I think for us, going a day early to Florida was really important because we got that rest and we didn't look tired. That was good. And I think that playing at home, you prepare differently. It's obviously easier at home, so you need to really win the games at home. But it's just getting to know the teams and preparing for them, doing more scouting, more film. And then, but I think it's also with a young team, it's really important. We aren't so scout heavy. With the older veteran team, we could do different things on different sides of the floor. Now with a young team, we aren't capable of doing that right now, and that's okay. So it's more focus on what we do and focus on the tendencies versus like a specific play. Like I know when we were our Final Four year, we could say like horns, dive, whatever. We knew their players were calling out the plays, bend, do, area, and everybody. We're not there yet because we're young, so we're not ready for that. So I know as a coach then, do tendencies. If we're going to guard a lot of on balls, then we're working on on ball action and counters versus the exact play because they're not going to remember. I mean, sometimes we can't even remember our own play, so we're not going to remember the other teams, just in general. So it's too much for players to think about. You don't want players playing, oh, is this? You want them playing and sticking to your principles. If it's a weak side screen, you do this. If it's a strong side, you do this. Now, a special player can get a unique thing. Like if there's a Sabrina Inescu, you may follow her on everything. and you want her to curl versus to shoot the three. But that's a one-off scout-specific thing. So we haven't had to do that, fortunately, so far.
What has impressed you, stood out to you about Bria's development this year? I mean, she's had double figures, I think, in like 14 of the games or something like that.
Yeah, she's been great. And I think she can even score more. I think a couple times she's been in foul trouble, but a much better job of being disciplined, focused, overall, finishing much better. You remember she could not even spell right hand or left hand last year. And now she's going left. She's driving from the elbow. She's just getting better. So our job is to keep on doing skill work with her and her continuing to grow. I think things she can work on is getting lower a little bit, playing off the ball a little bit better, like in positioning, but she's learning, she's young. So I think just keep on developing her, but I'm proud of her development. I mean, she's shooting like 67%, so we need to find a way to get her more shots. And she's also a player that she's not going to force shots. Like, she does not force shots. She rarely shoots over a double team. She gets great kickouts. So teaching her ways to get open after pass out of a double team or passing out, reposting, those are little young things that can get her more points, and we have to find a way to get her the ball more.
Iowa State, it's a ways off, but, I mean, we know they've got Adia, but what else is important about when you play them?
Yeah, well, they're going to play four guards, so that's hard. Those are matchup problems for us. I think that different on-ball actions. So the good thing for us for preparation for this week is we're going to guard a lot of similar screening action that we can work on all week, which is good. It's a lot harder when you're preparing for the week if one team is like super aggressive, one team is all zone, because then you're trying to combine all those things, and after the game on Wednesday, you're not going really hard Thursday, Friday. So I think that's harder, but we're doing a lot of similar things, even though they're different personnel, so that helps us. I think for Brea and our post of preparation for the Big 12 is like a little bit easier, because in the Pac-12, she was pulled away from the basket a lot. In the Big 12, she's not pulled away as much, because there's going to be pretty much bigs on all the top teams. There's good bigs that stay inside. They're not shooting threes, picking and popping. And so that was harder for her. Now, with the four guards against Iowa State, that's hard, because our four is going to have to guard, but then they have to guard us too. But I think from the five position, I think it's going to be a lot easier. She's probably like, thank God I'm not coming off flare screens. Yeah, Stanford, their poster coming off flare. It's harder. It's harder for a five to do that. So I think she gets to play inside. So now the challenges for her are running the floor. You saw that against UCF. We challenged her to do that. She did that against a big post player. But now staying out of foul trouble, not getting buried inside, those are things she has to work on. So we're going to see her development in that sense, which is good. I think it's a good challenge for her.
You talk about that four. If you've got four guards, I mean, what does Isis have to do if she is, in fact, the one starting there?
Yeah, so she's got to, like, not be so low off the ball when they're a shooter, because sometimes as a post player, your tendency is to go inside. You're not at the line of the ball, and then on a skip, you're late to get out there. So moving with your player at the line of the ball, closing out in the right way, whether they're full closeout or not. And I think that offensively being aggressive, because where you have the shortfall on defense, you have an advantage on offense. So then she has to take advantage of that advantage. And she's got to shoot the ball and post them up and do different things like that and make a guard her in the post. So I think that, but she's capable. She did that all non-conference, which was good. That's what we talk about, the preparation non-conference, because every mid-major team is small. So that should help us. Yeah, and then she'll play some 4 and 5. But I think Isis is the one that can do it, and then Montea can do it, and we can even play small a little bit. So the main thing is the 5s being able to take care of inside, because our guards can't guard, big posts.
So there's been some unrest in Serbia. The students and others are protesting against the government. I talked to Katerina this week about that. And she seems to sort of, it's hard for her, but she's here and she has her priorities that it's school and basketball. And sort of keeping the main thing for her in this situation. For you as a coach, when you hear that from her, is that something that you would expect from her? Is she that type of person that might be easier for her to do that than, say, somebody else?
I think it's easier for her than someone else. But obviously, as a coach, I'm sensitive to that and aware of that, and just have discussions with her. And a lot of that stuff doesn't affect some players. It does, because it's your home country for sure. But a lot of her peers and stuff are probably out playing basketball. So, like, think about it. She was gone in Spain, so I think it's a little different than if She had a lot of friends in school there, which she might. I have to talk to her about it, but so I think that's a little different. Your friends are usually the friends you make in sports, so they're usually playing sports. I think they're traveling, playing competition. I think it's a little different, but the main thing is where you're from. There's issues like when stuff happens in Italy, it affects Salvo because you're hearing about it from your family and you're aware of it, especially if it's like devastating. But I think that she's very mature and she's very focused and she has a mission. And I think that coming from her background, she's clear on why she's away and what she wants to accomplish. And she's very mature about that more than most people. I think she has a direction she knows and she goes for it. And I think that's different than most players at her age. I think most would be really having a hard time and it affects them. I think for her, she sacrificed so much and she's away from her family. She didn't go home at Christmas. She's like has a purpose, a goal, and wants to do it. And that's why she's sacrificing so much. So I think she's got a strong mentality. She'll be okay.
You talked about the importance of winning at home. What was the message to the team? What's the message to the team today as you prepare for tomorrow's game?
Yeah, well, we talked yesterday about just a great comeback and the way we performed. I was proud of them at our response. I told them a couple months ago we wouldn't have been able to do that. And just you got to take care of home in this conference because going on the road, it's hard. And winning games are hard. So taking care of home, it gives you the best chance. You're in your routine. You're comfortable here. You know the rims. We have a great fan base here. So we usually have success at home. And I think just being consistent every day, not just thinking you're at home, you're going to win the game, but approaching the game every game the same. And I think one of the things that we learned from UCF was we came out really strong in the first half, but then we relaxed and we did not play well in the beginning of the second half. So talked about that, like that was a learning point for us that we can't do that. And as the teams get better and, we get further in our conference, we have to learn from that. So talked about that and talked about the challenge from this week. These are two really good teams that have really good players. So we have to bring it for 40 or however many minutes it is and be mature enough to approach every game with a winning mentality. And, that's what we talk about, being young and the lack of leadership and experience. You have those things. So figuring out how to teach them and get them through it and showing film and stuff helps. So we did that yesterday, so now we're really moved on.
On Saturday, Jada scored her 500th career point on that free throw. Was that something, did she know that was her career point? Did you know?
No, I knew. I knew we were close, but we don't really talk about that a lot. So I had forgot about, because you forget about a lot of those stats till the press conference. But yes, we celebrated after, we made a graphic. I think players it's not really super important. I think if it's like a scoring record, you're breaking like the NCAA record or something. Otherwise, it's like, oh, I guarantee she didn't know about it. I guarantee she didn't think about it until she saw the graphic. She's probably like, oh, I don't think she knew about it. But we want to celebrate those things because that's a huge accomplishment for her in college, and she's been starting a lot of it. And I think she's doing great. And I don't think she's played her best basketball. I think she hadn't shot the ball well for a while, but she's doing so many other things, and it's coming. So it's good to see her kind of break out of her shell last game. And one thing I talked to her about last game was she did a better job of not holding the ball at the end of the shot clock. She, for once, or I think it's probably one of the few times this year, she actually got a couple shots off of shots that were created for her. And we didn't have that before. So that's why I said those two freshmen did a really good job because they were all penetrating to get each other shots. So they were only trying to penetrate to get themselves shots. They were penetrating and drawing people and kicking out. So she had 2 or 3 open looks from the three. She doesn't get those. She usually has a last second contested or a really tough shot. And those are low percentage hard shots. So teaching her, she can get those kick out shots, but the way we played, she got them. And she didn't get those a lot. So I think that her percentages will continue to rise if she continues to take the good opportunities and not force them or not be stuck with the ball. Some of it's not her fault. She gets stuck with the ball with 3 seconds and she has to heave a shot. But that's not the type of basketball we need to play. So for me, I had to kind of step back, have a little bit less and run it better than have 10 things and we're not running them well. And then we get to end the shot clock and have to do something. So kind of breaking it down and being more specific. And we do better like that.
Speaking of the lineups, Brea didn't have fell trouble over the whole game, but she still in that first half had some. So that lineup where Sky kind of came in later when Brea was kind of going out.
Yeah.
How did that help to have another, be able to place one scorer with another?
No, it helped a lot because we don't have that a lot. We don't have that scoring punch. You know who gave that to us before was Lauren. So if you look about a month ago, we wouldn't say we were cold or not shooting the ball great. Lauren would come in and give us points. But then she was cold for like 5 games. So we haven't had that punch. And Josh just sometimes can give that, but kind of finding her way to come in and take care of the ball and just getting better in that sense. So having Sky do that was really important because sometimes with Bray off the floor, we can't score. And we saw that against Utah, we couldn't score. And we couldn't score at one point for 6 minutes, and that's not what we want. But like having a guard that can create her shot, Lauren gives that to us. We don't have a lot of guards that can go in and create their mid-range game, and she can do that. And then you have to respect her on the three-point line so she spreads the floor out, so it's harder to double against Brea. So Sky was perfect from the field off the bench, and she can do that, and she has to continue to bring that and have that mentality and, have a good body language and good attitude and not get so frustrated because she's not frustrated at us or anybody. She's frustrated at herself, but it bleeds to the team, and it hurts the team. So she's young. So teaching her, it's okay. Like, you're going to miss shots. It's okay. Like, you're not going to be perfect. This is basketball. You're going to miss more than you make. That's, like, our game. So getting her through that, and I think there's times she handles it well, but times when it's hard. And I think you see that with a lot of young players. They have really high standards for themselves. So kind of teaching them that I want to be perfect all the time, too, but I'm not. And you're not going to be. And this is life. It's okay. And, like, it's okay to it's really okay to miss your first 5 shots. It's not ideal, but when you put your work in, you have a belief you're going to make the next 5. So you can go 0 for 5. The next one you can go 5 for 5, then you're 5 for 10. So understanding that, and I always talk about the best players have amnesia. Like, you look at Diana Taurasi, you look at those players, they could be 0 for 77, and they really think their 78th is going in, and then you can be 100% the next 20 shots. Like, they're capable of doing that. So understanding that. So thank you. So understanding that and, like, mentally getting through that. So. Okay, cool. Thank you.